No Room at the Inn by Marguerite Theophile. Some 15 years ago, I did my No Room at the Inn bit. My husband called from a train station in Mumbai, suddenly announced 2 weeks before Christmas that he had with him an Iranian woman and her 2 children with no place to live, and he asked if he could bring them to stay with us. I looked around the living room of the little apartment we were living in, which would have to accommodate the 3 of them. Books and papers for my research project competed for space with those for the current college course I was teaching. Soon there would be piles of examination papers to be evaluated and added to the already teetering piles. I took a deep breath. "How long will they stay?" was followed by a loud "No," when he mumbled, "A month or so." Or so? Or so can end up being many months, perhaps years, I mentally muttered. In my defense, it was a time for teaching extra courses to earn money to pay for my father's illness and hospitalization, and making regular visits to the hospital in another distant suburb while preparing to complete and submit my thesis at the same time. "They have nowhere else to go," he added, his voice conveying a mixture of reproach and appeal. So Nusha and her son Haiti, who was 14, and her 8-year-old daughter, Masa, and several large bags entered our home. At first they were as uncomfortable as I was, but in just moments we had arranged makeshift beds, worked out bathing schedules, and got to cooking that night's dinner. Masa smilingly came into my kitchen, perched on a stool, and filled me in on her life in the year they had been in India. Her father had died in an accident. Her mother could not live in Iran for many reasons, both personal and political, and someone suggested they go to India. And now, Masa said in all seriousness, their Weezer, which allowed them to stay here, would soon aspire unless they could get an ascension. In the days that followed, Masa, who had had a natural chatterbox charm of a crazy, joyous young angel, made sure she was well and truly entered into our lives. While her mother and brother were often out, Masa opted to stay behind with me. I soon learned to tune out her constant chatter as I worked. It did not seem to matter that I had my head in books as long as she could talk. She begged to go with me to see my father in the hospital, danced for him, made him laugh with all her stories about her teachers, and she completely charmed my mother, telling her she gave the best hugs in the world. Each night before she fell asleep, she did her bedtime prayer routine on her knees. She saw it in an English film. When she told God all the events of her day, it was always a very long, one-sided conversation with excruciating detail. But God is compassionate and merciful. A day before Christmas, Masa, while helping me set up and decorate our giving tree, went, "So when do we make the baby's home?" You know, the home for Issa Masa, Jesus Christ, to be born. She was very disappointed, even teary-eyed, when I said that we did not have any figures for a creche or nativity scene. So when my sister-in-law phoned an hour later, laughing about her forgetful mother giving them yet another bunch of clay figurines, I said, "Masa and I are coming right over to get them." It was past midnight when we were done. Our stable was a smallish cardboard gift box with just enough space for Mary, Joseph, and a waiting straw-filled manger. All the others, ox, ass, shepherds, sheep, 3 wise mullahs, waited outside with the heralding angel propped aslant, somewhat drunken-looking, I thought, against the box. Masa assured me it won't rain tonight, and also she had checked with them, and they were all fine with this arrangement. As we made for bed, she suddenly asked if we knew a Christian prayer that she had learned in Bible school at her school that started Our Father. We did, and she was happy. She led us in reciting it, and I choked up as my new to English angel solemnly asked God, "And forgive us our Christmases as we forgive those who Christmas against us." The words suddenly took on a whole new meaning. I had started as an unfriendly innkeeper in the story, but maybe I could find a new role. I wondered, how about the ox? It was all I could think of, bone-weary after cooking, the tree, the tears, the chatter, the travel, the creche. but there was still one more thing to do. After the others had gone to sleep, I tiptoed to the creche and placed the brightly pink painted baby Jesus figurine on his clay-filled bed, which was spiky yellow painted hay. Then, totally exhausted, I fell into a deep sleep. At 5 o'clock on Christmas morning, Masa burst into our room, crying and begging me to come with her to the baby's house. Worried about what I might see, I groped for my spectacles and rushed after her to the cardboard creche. Everything looked just fine, but Masa pointed to the newborn. Why is he facing out? He's a little baby and wants to look at his mama and papa. So as we turned around to look at Mary's smiling face, her outstretched arms seemed even to open wider with joy. Masa, too, smiled at her thanks at me and crushed me in her fervent hug, knocking off my glasses, which broke. Nusha and her children left India after a few weeks. We didn't hear from them again. I still have painted clay figures, but the angel is missing. I gave it to the real one when she was leaving. Each year, people ask why our nativity group with baby Jesus turned around looks kind of different, and we have our own special night before Christmas tale to tell them.